Welcome to Let's Fly VFR. Today we're heading on another mountain flight from St. Gallen in Austria over to Innsbruck, which I'm sure everybody is very aware of. So let's go in the Baron 58 and again have another little go at the programming the FMS, which I've done in advance for us today. But I thought it'd be a bit of fun. We'll fly some waypoints. We're going to go from LSZR to DORAP, OSDOV, SV001, and then into Lowy. Bit of animation happening at the local airport. Haven't been to this one before. It's a really nice looking airport and one of the default ones that comes with X-Plane 11. So here we are, just getting rid of some previous programming and just grabbing hold of that new FMS program for the flight plan, entering to load that in. So getting a little bit more comfortable with doing this now. Sometimes still takes a little bit of time. I had a bit of trouble finding this airport actually and getting it in Sky Vector. Sky Vector didn't seem to know what it was. Had to search around a little bit, but let's get taxied out and we will get out of the runway and underway pretty quickly. Now we're running real world weather as I try to do as much as possible. So it's a little bit cloudy. Now both these runways are all above 1500 feet AMSL or above mean sea level. So we'll avoid some of the traffic and we'll get ourselves out on the runway as we swing around to line up.
On runway 10.
So we're on runway 10. That makes it pretty easy. So let's line up, power up, and get ourselves into the air. Up to full throttle. Now I still got to learn a little bit about this. Not so much the mixtures, but the props and setting of those. That's something I'm getting to slowly. It is a really nice aircraft to fly. So as we climb out, we get a positive rate. So we better get that gear up. And some of those vortices happening off the wingtips that we all love. Now we're going to continue to climb. I'm going to try and keep out of the cloud for the most part. So we'll climb up to a comfortable level. I was considering getting up to about 9,500. That was the plan. But I'm not going IFR because that makes it really boring, and flying over Austria, which seems to be such a beautiful country. You guys that live there, I'm jealous. It always seems to be very green there, and it's very dead dry, and lots of fires here in Australia as I make this video. And this is November of 2019. So there's some of the flight plan we've got in general, guys. You can see some of the waypoints all there. If you haven't seen how to do that and you would like to make your own flight plans, I'm probably a little bit over the top on the turn there, but just flying around this cloud, I'm trying to keep out of it. Keep VFR, get visual flight rules as best as possible, but if it defeats us, then we'll do a little bit of IFR as we get back onto track. Basically, I've just done a tight turn and come back, so I'm following the line. I was considering putting the autopilot on, but decided just to fly it manually. It's a bit boring sitting there, so we popped out of the clouds and gaining a little more altitude. If you want to sit in the back seat and have a beverage while we're flying there, and as always, don't feel free to subscribe if you like what you see here. It's all very casual. There's really great textures in this Baron 58, you know. I have to say, guys, I still have to buy an aircraft. I still have not worn out all the fun that is available with the default aircraft. Now, I think I'm going to get the Zebo add-on sometime in the near future. Maybe we'll do a little bit of airline stuff, but if you know me and you've been watching the channel, I'm pretty much a GA guy. So I try and keep to that, because at least that I've done a little bit of in the real world. So it's a good experience. I haven't flown anything this big with a twin engine, so this is a lot of fun. The graphics are excellent. Now remember, this should be in 4K for you guys, so if you have your 4K capable, have a look. Love to hear what you think about it. Just using the 4K recording and using the 4K in the DSR to make the graphics as nice as possible. I've got to say, I like it a lot more than putting it at 1080p and then cranking up the anti-aliasing. Now this still is anti-aliasing, it is, yes, but it just seems to make it nicer, smoother, and well, it's just my preference. So now we're climbing along pretty well. I think we've got through our first of our waypoints. So we're heading along, everything's checking out, still climbing pretty steadily there. Now we've flown along the way, we're getting close to our destination, so we've run through a couple of waypoints already, but it's time. It looks like it's going to be a little bit cloudy on our approach into Innsbruck. Now I did have a bit of a bash at the ATC again, guys, but I failed. So we might just forget all about that for a while. So, isn't the graphics in the hills fantastic though? They are beautiful. Now we're going to have to descend in and around. So doing the navigation, I've used obviously the GPS to get me from point A to a point B via a couple of other little places, just the nav points, but also I've been using the standard map. If you're looking for the map, just hit the M key, and you can change it from IFR, VFR, and a number of other settings, but I'm planning to use that as we get a little bit lower, because I might not be able to see where all the hills are as we make our final approach in. And setting up an instrument approach is yet another one of those things I need to learn how to do properly before I start doing it for you guys. So let's head down. We'll continue to descend. Those engines sound really nice. There's a good growl to them. Now you might notice I've got the throttles up. I've pulled the mixtures back a little bit, and I've got the props just adjusted a little bit, just keeping my RPMs at a good spot. The way I'm understanding this is you can leave your throttles pretty much at full. Bring your throttles back until you get yourself at a good RPM rate, a good power rate for what you have available in the power side of things as you climb and descend. But we're starting to, I think we're going to start heading down in the very near future and weaving down these many hills and staying in some valleys. So we're coming to our next waypoint here, and we're about ready to do a right turn. Now if you haven't played with the GPS or any of the instruments that do pop out in any of the aircraft we have, guys, all you need to do is click on the actual display, bring it out. If you have another display available, you can actually drag them off onto a different display. You can have an iPad plugged in and on the network with you, and you can actually drag them off onto an iPad if you want as well. But you can scale them up and down just by grabbing them like any other window in Windows. So we've got rid of a little bit of cloud there as we're coming across the mountains. It's all very scenic, isn't it? Doing well, fuel's pretty reasonable still. This was about a 40-minute flight. Really enjoyed doing. Now we're going to descend down. We're going to have to start weaving down the valleys a little as we get close to Innsbruck and try and get ourselves down safely. Now over to the left there, I do note there was another airport, so you should always be keeping in mind what's nearby in case you happen to lose an engine. I do try and fly with my failures turned on, but to date it hasn't chosen to give me anything, but I'm sure that's something that'll come in the future. And we've got a bit of cloud starting to appear on the horizon as we're getting very close to it. We're going to go right as we're descending and then weave our way down that next valley. if we go left, that'll put us on the entry point into Innsbruck. I'm just weaving away off the direct line that we get from the GPS. And as we descend, we need to make room for those big hills, don't we? And we're getting quite close now. Just a little bit off track because we're using the valleys to weave our way into Innsbruck. So, lowy as it is not too far away now. Got it trimmed out pretty well. Power's good. Need to probably bring those props back soon as we're descending. And heading into a bit of cloud as we're getting very close to Innsbruck. So we need to go a little bit right. You can just see that hill ahead of us. So I think we need to weave around that one. And flying directly at it might not be the best choice. This is where you'd want to be instrument rated. We're going to have a look at that as well. I really would like to get to grips with it. So again, here we go, using another reference point. We're just coming down into the valley. You can see Lowy over to the right there. And we've got a nice valley to fly down. So if we use the map as a bit of a guide, that should hopefully keep us safe. And we'll get down into the ground safely. Now I've got the heaters turned on the probes. We've slowed down a little bit, so the system is going well. We need some gear, don't we? There's some flaps. I'll need flaps and gear very soon. We've just got to watch that speed. And we're only a few minutes out from hopefully landing safely. Since we crashed in the last gliding challenge that we did last Friday, you can see the offending hill just to the left there. As we fly in. Gears down, flaps down full. And I know the runway is going to be around that big hill that we hit with the glider last week. If you haven't seen one, that was a bit of fun, bit of gliding, bit of aerobatics. If you like a bit of gliding, jump back and have a look at that video. It was a lot of fun as well. Just jumping forward a little bit, we can just catch the runway there, ahead to the left. Just underneath, just behind the cockpit edge there.
Too high.
We've got rain and everything now.
Approaching.
A crappy day at Lowy. At Innsbruck as we come in over the city. Cruising back in, we can get the speed down, get the altitude down. Just keep us safe speed. On the way in. Coming over the river and go for a swim. Not doing too bad. Let's see if we can keep on the centre line just for a bit of a change. It does not like me very much. It seems to throw me off to one side or the other. It's really heavy there. I'm getting low on the speed. Only a little bit long. That's fine. Nose up, hold it up. Hold it up. Power hour.
Deep landing, 4,000.
I think that's okay. We can probably handle 4,000 feet. In the old Baron. And we've arrived safely. We managed not to crash into anything hard this week. So let's come off to the left here and we'll head down to one of the general aviation areas here at Innsbruck. Actually, got a bit of just smoke or something happening there. I think that's the rain. Still a little bit triangular. It'd be good if it was a little bit more particle orientated, but that's fine. We're getting in, we'll get parked down here. A lot of gliders there on the right. There's a lot of those at Gallen. Just my local airport. Get ourselves pulled up here. Doesn't she look magnificent? So we've had a great flight. We've headed out from St. Gallen over to Lowy or Innsbruck. Thanks for coming for the flight. Feel free to subscribe and like, and I'll catch you in the next video. Let's fly VFR. Bye bye.